the other woman.
This is Conversations with Cousin Carlie. Okay, welcome. My name is Shayna Singleton, aka the Herpes Goddess. I am a self-love confidence coach, and this is Conversations with Cousin Carlie. Cousin,
hi, everybody.
Rising. How are you?
I'm rising. I'm Carlie Rock. I'm the CEO of Merch by Carlie Rock. I'm also a coach. And let's talk about this.
Let's talk about it. We talk about the other woman. I guess I can loosen it up a little bit and talk about me and my moment.
Yes.
I found out I was pregnant back in 2015. And when I found out the sex of my child, that day, me and my child's father broke up.
Wow.
3 weeks later, he was in a brand new relationship with his now wife. But here's the thing. I was pregnant, 1. 2, I was in the military, so I was lower ranking than him. So majority of our relationship had to be kept a secret. So I was literally watching him and his new girlfriend at the time's relationship blossom right in front of my eyes.
Not in secret.
Every time I went to work, not in secret, they showed up to work together. I'm pregnant with his whole child. She's doing everything that I would have wanted to do with him during the damn near 3 years of our relationship. Wow. I became obsessed, like looking at her page, looking at his page, watching the progress of their relationship. I became really bitter, kind of just like, how dare you start a whole new relationship and we're going to have a baby?
Yes.
His thing was, well, you didn't want me. But my thing was, no matter if we're in this relationship or not, we should be working on our issues, our problems, our friendship, and preparing for this baby, period. There's no way that I should be doing this alone by myself. And I grew extremely bitter. It wasn't like loud, bitter baby mom. It was more so of
like internal,
ruminating, and driving my own self crazy, constantly looking at her page, his page, her Twitter, his Twitter. I just kept doing it to myself. And every time I would go to that page, I would just become more upset and more
a little piece of a new trigger.
Yes, jealous. Jealousy was one, not because of her, but because they're doing everything that I wanted to do when I was in a relationship. So it was more so that part. It was like, and then I'm sitting here with his baby. I'm looking like the other woman now. Not to mention I got freaking herpes. And at the time I was thinking I got it from him.
Right.
So I was just driving myself into like depression. Have you ever had a moment like that in your life where you found yourself constantly checking on somebody's social media?
Okay, so 2 different people. But my most recent ex cheated. I found out about it, ended things, kept him on social media for a little bit. And then I ended up realizing that that's what it was. I ended up deleting him off my Facebook. He had a public page, but I ended up finding out he ended up moving to the state that she lived in. And once I saw that, I was like, all bets are off. Like now I'm trying to find out all the business. So I would like try to stay away, but maybe on like a weekly basis, I would check his page. I would check her page. I scrolled down to the bottom of this woman's page and like looked at every picture, every caption from the bottom to the top. Number one, because I was still trying to find answers on like, when did you meet him? You know what I mean? When did you meet him? How long have you all been in contact? How long has he been publicly like addressing you on the internet? Not to say that that's something major, but that's the only proof that I would get, right? And it was me trying to match up timelines. Once the timelines were figured out for me, I still just wanted to know, like, how is he treating her? How are things going in their life? Does he look happy?
Yeah.
Does she look like me? Because he was a little bit older too. And so I'm like, that was a thing for me also. It's like the age difference, and it's just like, oh, he gonna be bored. You know what I mean? And I would just be watching it like, oh, look, he posted that he was there today, but then look at her, she's at home today. And just trying to figure it out like, oh, he probably cheating on her still. Looking like trying to decipher what the makings of their relationship is like, because I'm still trying to figure out like, what was it that made you cheat on me in a way that you did, and then now you're living in the same state as this woman, and like you guys are like together now, like together. Was this always the plan?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How long had it been in play that you were going to do this? And was I just a casualty, just waiting on the sideline until you could solidify what you needed to do for this person who maybe had more expectations of you? You know what I mean? Maybe was more established in certain things in her life. And so she was like, oh no, you're going to be here if you're my man, you know? Yeah. So I've definitely done that to the point where I'm like, nah, I should not know how many children she has. I should not know where they went for their like date on Friday night. Like, this is too much. So I've been there before. It's like trying to get answers.
Yeah.
Trying to get answers, and also try to prove to myself, like, he ain't gonna be happy with her. She ain't gonna be happy with him.
Mm-hmm. That's the same.
You're messing with a cheater. So your boyfriend's a cheater, honey.
The low-key hate, right?
Right. And it was like, but Carlie, you're still in the position of looking, you know?
Yeah. Looking, you're on the sidelines looking in, so it don't look good for us neither. You said a mouthful, because I was like 3 weeks and you're in love with someone else. So one, it was like, were y'all messing when we were in a relationship? We've been together for years, and 3 weeks later, you just found this serious ass relationship. Was I pregnant and you was messing with this girl? That's a thought that ran through my mind.
Right.
When I had met the girl, she was in another marriage with another man, and we had dinner. It was me and him.
Like a double date.
It was like a triple date. It was a couple here too, but that's how I met her. And even when I found out I was pregnant, I remember her coming to me and was just like, if it's a girl, you should name her my name. It was like one of those moments. So it was kind of like when I found out they were together, I was really like,
was she being slick?
Ooh, I was never the type to address another woman, but I was pregnant and hormonal. And I when I found out, I marched up to her little company, because we're in the military now, so my clean foreign, and I cursed this woman out, cursed her smooth out. I didn't feel proud of that, but hell, I blame it on the pregnancy. And I felt like she had it coming. But moving forward, I didn't stop obsessing over their relationship until after I had my baby.
Okay.
So I've spent the entirety of my pregnancy looking in on their relationship and watching it grow and flourish. It wasn't up until I became a single mom. And yes, he sends me money monthly, but I'm still doing everything by myself. So that aspect of things was just a huge. That was like the cherry on the top for me, ending obsessing over.
Right, because like I really don't got the time.
Yeah, I don't have the time. Like, period. And that's when I started to heal, once my child came into play. But you mentioned the thoughts of, he's a cheater, you're dealing with a cheater. And I remember thinking, like, when are you gonna see him for what he is? When are you gonna because I was already feeling a way about him then. I'm just kind of like, why don't you see it yet? What is going on? Is it because they can have a public relationship? Maybe it's different.
Yeah.
The things that bother me don't bother you. Like, yeah, I was waiting for that moment.
And I think that was the same thing with me, is because this person, not many knew that we were together. And that's what changed the way I date now too, is I will never again date someone in like that much privacy or in that much secrecy. I should say, because the whole loving out loud was too attractive to me once I didn't have it anymore. And then I had to realize, Carlie, she's also providing something that you didn't provide for him, or that you two couldn't provide for each other, which is this open, loving, demonstrative love, you know what I mean? That type of thing. So that was number one. Another thing was the realization that, Carlie, like, maybe they're just a better fit. Maybe they're a better fit. You couldn't realize in the first couple months what was going on. And not to say that like, literally there was nothing that I would have thought was like extremely wrong. So I'm like, why would she be thinking that? It's the blissful stage. Like, you know what I mean? It's a blissful stage for them. So she's not going to have those type of things. And Carlie, like, this is done now. Yeah. I had to tell myself, but I was in a different predicament before, where there was this guy that I literally, to this day, I think he was one of my soulmates. Till this day, nobody can tell me different. And this is not to disrespect, because okay, so this is the point that I was trying to get at. If you're going to leave me, especially if you're going to cheat on me with somebody, please make sure that you marry that girl. Marry her. Because for me, it needs to be, in my sense, it needs to make sense that you would cheat on me and leave me if you were going to go somewhere that's a loving place for you, where you think like, I should really be with this woman. I should really, you know what I mean, be fully committed. Please do that with the person that you cheated on me with. Because if you leave me and then end up in a bunch of toxic things after me, I'm going to look at you like, and I'm going to feel more hurt. At least I think that you might have made a smart decision. Maybe not by cheating on me, but maybe leaving me was the decision that you needed to make to get to a loving relationship that you needed. Yeah. So I think that's the thing for me. I needed it to be worth it. In my mind, I needed it to be worth it. So if you're out here and you're not doing anything spectacular for this new woman, it's like, why would you do that then? Yeah. Why would you do that then? But I was in a different situation where this man I thought was my soulmate, and there was this girl I would see every now and again, and he would say like, oh no, she's not. She's like a friend of mine and stuff. But I was like, something don't seem right. And I blocked her years ago. When me and him were still like in communication, talking to each other all the time and everything, I blocked her because I was like, I don't want to see her comments. I don't want her to see my page. Like, I just didn't want to end connections with this woman. And then we ended things. Like, we stopped communicating a couple of years back, but I still had him on my page. It was triggering to look at his page because, let me tell you, he was one of the most handsome men I'd ever met. The feelings that I got being around him, when I'm everything, you can't, that's why I say you cannot tell me he was not one of my soulmates. So I'm very attracted. And so I would often be on his page scrolling and stuff like that. And I realized, Carlie, this is not good. So I had muted him because I said, I don't want to delete him because then he's going to think like, oh, Carlie got an issue. But it's like, no, I just can't see you. So I muted him. And then not recently, maybe like a year ago or so, I'm there doing my monthly scroll on this page that I muted. And this woman, I end up seeing, like, at a certain point, I realized they were together. So that had came through the scrolling. Okay. And then, months goes by and I'm scrolling, and then she's pregnant. Oh. And I said, oh, okay. This is the one. This is the new one. And then I saw a tag photo, realizing that at the baby shower, he proposed. And when I saw that, I said, well, no, okay. I was about to say something. I said, let me not be petty. When I saw that, I said, you know what, Carlie, it's time to let go. So at that point, that's when I deleted him. I deleted him. I deleted his cousins that he had that were on my page, his sister that was on my page. I had to delete them all. Number one, I didn't want to get any reminders because I had actually stuck true to keeping like the muted page muted. But it's like, now I'm going to see you in tagged photos from our mutual, because I know him through my cousins. Yeah. And so it's like, I see you being tagged in this stuff. So now I have to just delete you now. if you come up in some of these tagged photos, I even muted the family member that was in the picture with them when they proposed, because I said, nah, because no, I don't want to see that either. And since you want to promote this type of stuff, I don't want to see your page either. I needed a second. And that's when I realized, I said, Carlie, it's time to let it go, because it comes back to what I said before in terms of, if you're going to choose someone besides me, I would like to know, I guess it's still part that I need to work on. I need to know that that person was actually worth it. The better option for you, the better choice for you. And so then when I see like, okay, you guys have built a family together, you're proposing. So now you're actually ready to get married. Yeah. You know what I mean? And this is someone who's my age. So I'm like, you're a man who's now decided. And he was that type of guy from the beginning. I never thought that he would do anything but find the person he was supposed to be with and continue. You know what I mean? So when I saw that, I said, you know what, Carlie, it's time to delete him. Not because I was going to start ruminating over this or like obsessing over this woman's now fiance. So that was number one. Now you're somebody's fiance. But number two, I don't know what you do on my page. I don't know if you visit my page sometimes. You know what I mean? I used to get a like here and there. So I'm like, maybe he muted me too, or maybe he be doing the scrolling thing like I do. But in that moment, the moment I saw that picture, I said, it needs to end. Because me muting you, gives you access to me. I need to end this so that you're not someone's husband still looking at my page. You're not someone's fiance getting ready for a baby. And then I post something and then it's like something, not to say that I'm just so irresistible that's going to turn your head, but I don't need to be right. But I don't need to be any type of distraction in your life. So that's when things switched for me in that aspect. I said, no, that's when I realized, Carlie, this is where it could get dangerous, because keeping this attention going, keeping up and knowing his business long after we've had a conversation didn't sit right with me the moment I saw that he was getting married. And I'm gonna be a little bit off topic, but that was my indication, like, Carlie's time to go, because you're not gonna be serving yourself any good. Because at this point it's going to be torture. Like I had like in a year's time, I think I found out like 3 people that I used to date were all had either had just had a baby or had a baby on the way. And so it was like a trigger for me too, because I would love to be a mother. I don't think I'm ready yet, but I want to be a mother. I want to have a family. I want to be married. And so these are all people who I have been with, having, maybe some of them wasn't their first child, but it's like now all of y'all are having babies. Yeah. So all of y'all's new children are going to be born in the same year. And Carlie's here single, childless. No, I have to delete everything I have to delete any of you off of my stuff. I don't want to see it. I can't, because it's not going to do anything to me, but make me continue living in the past. Yeah. So that's when I had to cut it out, because I was like, Carlie, you are doing yourself a lot of damage watching these women. And it's like the other part of it, and I know I'm getting long-winded of it, the other part of it was, what did they do to you? These women never did anything to me for me to have any type of hate towards them, any type of thoughts about them, but well wishes. Yes. I hope that they have a safe pregnancy. Yes. You know what I mean? I hope that things prosper with them and these men. I hope the things that these men did that I didn't like or care for, I thought that they could do better, I hope that they have improved that so that they can be good for these new moms that they've created. You know what I mean? Or these women who they've given a child to now. Because I'm like, Carlie, that's still hateful. Yeah. It might not even feel like that. It might not feel like it, but you don't know what you're doing by laying your eyes on this woman. You know what I mean? This is the reason why people put evil eye on their pages, because it's like, I don't want anyone with a jealous spirit looking at my good news. Yeah. And I didn't want to be that for somebody else. You know what I mean?
That part. The power of the block. The blocks helped me so much. One would stop when I noticed I needed to stop looking at that page, when I no longer, once my son was here, and I will go back to the page and I would see, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I'm like in my postpartum depression now. And I'm kind of like, I have a son. How dare y'all be able to do this? and vacation here and live your life up here, do all these things. And I'm sitting here with this freaking baby. My body is not the same. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. That was the type of hatred I felt myself building for not only him, but her as well. So
yes,
in order to get over that hunch, I had to block. And that was the best thing I could ever do, because when I came out of that blocking phase, I was able to come into it with an open mind. My son was like a year now, a little bit over a year. His father was able to visit me. There was no attraction, no nothing. It was complete. I felt comfortable with him just being there to see his son. There was no want to touch him, want to be around him, desire to be in a relationship with him. I could just fall into a friendship. That felt good. He was able to communicate with me. She proposed to him. All of that stuff was able to happen by my little moment of just blocking them out and doing my own healing and figuring it out for myself, so I wouldn't be mad for every little thing he did with his life. For me to get over that hunch, I had to realize you being a mother to your child is your responsibility and your responsibility only, and him being a father to his child is his responsibility and his responsibility only. Once I figured that part out, that was my aha moment. And that was my healing.
Yes.
And I was able to embrace him, embrace her, even though she kind of rejected that. But moving forward,
right,
I'm no longer obsessing over it anymore. And I'm able to follow my child's father, and I'm able to have communication with him. I'm no longer bitter like I was when I was pregnant and I just had my son. Granted, that was damn near 6 years ago, but but I'm glad we were able to talk about this. Some women bottle these emotions up. Some women are not even brave enough to talk about how they've looked at, obsessed, stalked, visited another woman's account multiple times. That's not a topic that we talk about often.
Right, because I think we have a want to be the one. We have a want to be the one. And I think the biggest thing in all of that I realized, especially with the man who I thought especially with that one specifically, it was, Carlie, this therefore means you met him when you were supposed to. You all experienced each other when you were supposed to. And now it's time for you to realize that he is not your one for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? You all met each other for this certain period. I know I gained things from being with him. I'm sure that he gained things from being with me. We were very soft with each other. We were very gentle with each other. And I'm sure that had an influence on the way that we went into our next situations, is that whatever maybe hurt and resentment we might have had from past situations, when we got with each other, I think we both got a different outlook on what love could look like. And I specifically remember when speaking to him at a certain point, when I realized things were just not going to work with us, I had said to him, like, whoever the next woman is in your life, I just pray that she will be someone who can provide balance in your life, who is able to give as much as you give, who doesn't take, who's not in it to take from you. And I just pray that you end up being like extremely happy. So when I saw that, I said, Carlie, this was your prayer for him.
Yeah.
Your prayer for him was, if we're not together, I just pray that you find someone who is really for you. And I think that's like one of the most mature feelings I've ever had in my internal spirit, to the point where I'll say it to some people and they're like, you're big for that, but it's really real. I don't want him to be out here depressed in the world. I wouldn't want him to be out here single forever, not finding a woman who loved him for him, not finding a woman who was ready to compromise and, you know what I mean, and actually engage and actually be in a full-on relationship. I wouldn't want him to be with somebody who was out here using him or anything like that. So I'm like, Carlie, this is what you prayed for. And this is, I feel like, it helped me let go of it, because I hope that when it's time for me to be with my man, right, who's doing all of these things for me and we're loving each other out loud, that the men that I've dated in the past would only say, you know what, I'm happy for Carlie. I'm happy that she's now with a man who can give her what she needs and what I might not have been able to provide. Mm-hmm. I'm happy that she's found someone who to create her life with, because I know that's one of her goals, you know. Yeah. I would only hope that they would have that type of love for me, mm-hmm. you know, because like, if you love me then, I would only hope that you hope for the rest of my life that you don't see me, that I'm well. I would hope that you would hope that I'm not out here being dogged in these streets. You know what I'm saying? I want the next time we might bump into each other for you to be like, look at us both doing well. Look at us actually doing things that are healthy, in healthy relationships. I want that, rather than being like, yo, you saw Carlie the other day? She looked like somebody stressing her out. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want that. I would hope that anybody that I shared love with would want the best for me. So I'm glad that my spirit allowed me to be that way and understand, like, it's okay to do that, because that feeling of jealousy and stuff like that can hold you back from finding who's for you.
Yeah, that's the truth. That was part of my reason for exiting the relationship. We already had a toxic relationship before I was pregnant. Right. And that was important for me. Like, my son got to see his father loving a woman in a healthy relationship. And mm-hmm. he can't do that with me. My son needs to see his mother being loved in a healthy relationship. And we weren't providing that for each other, for my son. Right. And that was like the push of the breakup. So it's so funny how I wanted the breakup. Right. You know what I'm saying? But the move on was just too soon for me. Mm-hmm. How do we require things from a move on? I think it had a lot to do with my pregnancy. Right. Mm-hmm. I know for sure that if I wasn't pregnant, I wouldn't give it. Mm-hmm. But then sometimes it's also, we ended things because you could not be X, Y, and Z, or we could not be X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. It's sometimes daunting to see you have the capacity to be this way, but with someone else. Yeah. You know, because I think that's sometimes a part of it too. Like, wow, you're able to do that. Mm-hmm. That's what that looks like on you. And okay. You know what I mean? I've never seen that. I've never seen you do that before. Interesting. You know? I can admit now that in my healing that I was extremely toxic then. Okay. Being in a relationship with me at a time where I didn't love myself or didn't even know what self-love was, that wasn't a person anyone should want to be with. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to give nor receive love. Mm-hmm. I had requirements that I pulled out of my butt because, again, I wasn't loving myself to require mm-hmm. anything out of anyone else. I didn't know what my own happiness was. I was seeking for it in my relationships versus knowing what that was for myself so that I can better communicate that. Mm-hmm. I was all over the place. And he was my reflection at the time. So it was necessary for us to separate. But again, I didn't know how to handle my feelings and my emotions. I was very reaction type of person. Mm-hmm. So when that change happened in my life, again, on top of me being pregnant, I didn't know how to handle those emotions. It's a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. Thank you all for listening in. If you've been listening. Yeah, this was a great conversation though. Yeah, it is, because we dived into territories girls don't like to go into. Mm-hmm. If you're listening, if you're female or if you're male, I would love to hear the male's perspective. Go ahead in the comment section and share your stories with us. Maybe we'll talk about judgment zone. Yeah. Sorry. No judgment zone. No judgment zone. Look, we done spilled the tea on here. Right. Niles Daddy, if you're listening, dumb emotions went away a long time ago. But I love you. Thank you for being Niles King. Cousin, I love you. I love you. This is Conversations with Cousin Carlie. See you next time.